All right, so our speaker today is somebody well known to us. No, wait, stay. He's an acknowledged expert in the Enneagram. But in my book, his big claim to fame is he's been married 52 years to the same person. Divine Donna. All right. It's Richard Long. Come on up here, Richard.
Is that working? Loggins and Messina? Who did that? Who? James Taylor. Oh. Okay. You knew that. Sorry, I knew that. So thank you, Brian, I think. And good morning. Good morning, everyone. So today's topic is, what is grace? And when I tell a few people, when they ask me what my topic is and they say grace, they go, oh yeah, yeah. To me it hasn't been explored a lot, and that's why it really intrigued me about it. So I've been thinking a lot about it recently, and is it a noun? Our English major here, a noun, is it a verb? Do you use a capital G? Do you use a lower G? I have a grandmother who was named Grace. I have a granddaughter whose middle name is Grace. So Grace has a special meaning for me, if really only for that. So we're going to do a little experiment today, and since I've been coming here, this has not been done, but the teacher in me is coming out, and what that means is I'm going to ask you, and I always forget, and online, what they think grace is, what they've learned grace is, or really what grace means to you. And so we're going to start with online folks first. And Anne, let's see. Oh.
Yeah.
If you could start off with, what does grace mean to you?
What grace means to me. Okay, so grace is to me, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that I offer someone or I offer myself of allowing things to be that might not be, so it's like, it's almost like forgiveness, but not. It's like allowing things to be how they are, even though you might not be especially happy or prefer that outcome. It's like, okay, I'm going to give myself grace, or I'm going to give another person grace. To me, it's an action. It's a feeling of allowing something to be how it is.
Thank you. If you could ask it for the rest of your group.
If you want to speak, you can raise your hand. I can see your hand raised, or if you want to raise your digital hand, Joyce, and then Marcel. I see White Feather and Harvey too. Oh, Joyce, you're muted. Yeah, you unmute yourself for us.
I told you an experiment.
Okay, so yeah, if you unmute yourself, then we can.
Yeah,
There we go. Hey.
Yeah, yay, I'm here. I love that word grace. That has it's a profound meaning to me. To me, it's a universal protection of God, God that is everywhere present, and God within me, and giving me the wisdom to find my way and to be in a place of protection. That's how I feel about grace. It's occurred to me many, many times in my life, and I am grateful. Good
Thank
subject.
you.
Thank you.
And Marcel, and then White Feather.
Peace, grace to me is being peace with whatever is, and on a deep level experiencing the oneness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
White Feather, and then
Well, it's
Harvey.
almost the same thing I was going to say. But it's being, because we all have different thoughts, we all have different ways of doing things and stuff. So to allow someone to be who they are, whatever that means to them, that's what that's what I feel it is. It's an individual, it's like the angel coming and tapping you on the shoulder
hmm
and saying, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then Harvey, you have to unmute.
To me, it's unconditional love, and it's caring irrespective of how the other person feels, just loving and loving oneself too. And it's a divine gift that God gives us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy, you want to go?
Yeah, I would just add on for sure, because a lot of everything that was said, I would agree with. I think it comes down to lack of judgment through our human filter and viewing things from the truth within and allowing actions, activities, ungraceful behavior of people, whatever it might be, to be.
Thank you. Anyone else online?
Oh, Charmaine, and then Lisa.
Thank you. I kind of agree with everybody at the same thought, but what came to me was grace is knitted in with peace and compassion of how we live our lives and how we see others around us and how we react or don't react in a loving manner. I'm complete.
Thank you.
Lisa? You're mute. There you go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, I always think of dignity when I think of grace. And for a long time on the inside of my medicine chest, I had like a little affirmation that said, give people the dignity of their choices. And it reminded me that, I am not in control. And learning that deeply, having resilience and hope. And many of my friends, we will always say to each other, give yourself grace. And I love that about my friendships. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Anne, is that about it?
Anyone else on Zoom?
Okay. We're going to have Brian on the camera so we can share. And I have my lovely assistant here of 53 years. Is going to be on the microphone. 52 years. Yeah. So who would like to share about grace? Yes, Sherry.
To me, grace is a state of being, or I like to think of it as a place that I can occasionally visit, my choice, or I can choose to actually live in grace. That place.
Thank you. Yeah.
For me, it's an unconditional gift from God, from Jesus, from me to a loving friend. Grace is within all of us. We can give it unconditionally. No attachments. It's free.
Yeah, it's free. Thank you.
Grace to me is the certainty that every one of us is in the presence of a loving God.
Oh. Thank you.
I think of it first of all as what Christians say before a meal. They say grace. I didn't grow up with that terminology, but next comes the prayer of protection. It's an all-encompassing prayer for me.
I'm like Richard, that my grandmother's name was Grace and my mother's name was Anna Grace.
Right.
So grace means something special to me.
Yeah.
But also the saying, by the grace of God.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like when something really dangerous was going to happen, but it didn't. It was by the grace of God.
Thank you.
When I hear the word grace, I think of beauty and a ballerina. And what that tells me, go with the flow and there will be beauty.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think of it like a mist just coming down.
As a
mist.
Oh.
Just a mist, just coming down on everything it touches.
Oh, okay. Mist.
Okay, you ready? To me, grace is a surprise. It can come in like a whisper, or it can come and hit you over the head and you say, oh, thank God.
Yeah, a surprise. Thank you. Donna over.
Grace is the love of God flowing through us.
Thank you.
Oh, with so many things, but when I think of one thing I think about grace is just kind of an ease and a generosity of spirit. You think of a gracious person, and that's what I think of, and that's what I feel.
Thank you.
I feel that grace is inner connection to the divine, and that it is a protective source and a guiding source, and it creates a peace that I try to project to other people.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think of it as what so many have said, acceptance and allowing. So when I come up, when I'm in my own personal storm and I come up against a wall, if I ask for grace, it's me letting go and accepting what's going to happen in the future and allowing what's going to happen in the future as opposed to putting my head into the wall.
Thank you.
For me, grace is the knowledge that everything in God's world and in my life is just the way it's supposed to be at this moment, and it's good.
When I think of grace, I think of the song Amazing Grace. Yeah. And I believe that grace isn't something that I earned. It's, as somebody else said, it's a free gift.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? I think we have.
I see grace as love without a source. It just spontaneously appears, much like quantum world.
Well, I think of the word graceful. I think of Linda when she's dancing.
You've blown one of my blinds in the talk.
This goes back years when I took lessons. Teresa and I took lessons from her, and hopefully we're a little more graceful now.
I think.
In my personal experience and context of it is like the song Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. So I had a personal experience of being in a pretty wretched place and being shown grace. And so for me, it was a palpable feeling that broke the bondage of human chains to allow me to do something I couldn't otherwise do.
Thank you. Anybody else? I think Lisa is.
Piggybacking on what Riley said, I believe grace is a decision to love people anyway, regardless.
To love them anyway. Thank you. Well, you said my talk, so I mean, literally, you've touched on almost all the points I've done, which is why I think grace is so marvelous, because it really shows the variety of how we see grace and the variety of how we look at it. So I'm going to explore a little bit more. I'm going to flesh out a lot of what you said. And there are 131 uses of grace in the Bible. There are 124 of those are in the New Testament. 86 of those are from the Apostle Paul. Paul is sometimes called the Apostle of Grace. The dictionary has at least 10 definitions. We covered quite a few of those here. No wonder what grace means is so varied. St. Augustine said, and by the way, the Pope is in the order of St. Augustine, "What is grace? I know until you ask me. When you ask me, I don't know." Which is, I thought, very Tao of him. Eric Butterworth, well-known Unity author, teacher, minister, wrote, "Few words in Christian theology are used more or understood less than the word grace." I would agree with him, but I'd say, or understood in so many different ways than grace. So what is grace? Well, let's start with the dictionary. And a few of you hit those right on the nail. That was cool. Simple elegance or refined movement. An example is she moved through the water with effortless grace. Linda moves in dancing, you blew it with that one, through effortlessness. And that effortlessness is a really, when we say a graceful movement, so it's part of a movement. I guess that would be a verb at that point. Is that a verb? Effortless? Yeah, you're our English. that would be the verb use. So, yeah, it would be effortless. A courteous goodwill. An example is, at least he had the grace to admit defeat. Now, I am not talking about anybody in particular, but it's an unselfish act, which is another key to grace. Here's a good one. A period officially allowed for payment of a sum due or compliance with a law or condition. An extended period granted as a special favor. Favor is a key word. For example would be, I hope my payment on my credit card comes before I get that extra charge. So even credit card companies grant us a favor. Forgiveness is another key to grace. A short prayer, someone said that too. It's a short prayer of thanks that's said before meal. An example would be, Reverend Brian, would you please say grace before this meal? Of course, he would have a 10-minute talk on gratitude, but my favorite one is good food, good meat, good God, let's eat. So showing gratitude is another key to grace. And here's one of my favorites, a grace note, a musical note or an added ornament or a small addition. I especially like it when it's used in a story where maybe there's a bad ending, but something good happens from it. For example, he lost his job, but as a grace note, found a career he loves. It's that grace note of turning things around. An unearned outcome. A few of you said that. An unearned outcome. Another key to grace. Now, I would call these definitions in a way the small g. But I would say that these definitions are really relying upon the big G grace. And so that is, of course, spiritual grace. Lowell Fillmore, son of Unity founder Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, described grace as God's love in action. Who said that? Somebody said that very close to that. So that to me is one of the most succinct definitions of grace. God's love in action. Monk and mystic Thomas Merton wrote, grace is not a strange, magical substance which is subtly filtering into our souls to act as kind of a spiritual penicillin, but grace is unity, oneness within ourselves, and oneness with God. A few of you said that too, that sense of oneness with God. It's not separate. Many other teachers see it as a favor, a gift from God. And who said that? The gift? Was that you? Yeah, the gift from God. An unconditional favor and a gift that does not require any reciprocal return. Eric Butterworth also said it was like a force of gravity, but in the opposite direction of gravity. As gravity forces you down, grace lifts you up. It is the upward pull of the universe, ever seeking to lift you to the heights of your divine nature. Let me repeat that again. I really like this. It is the upward pull of the universe, ever seeking to lift us to the divine heights of our divine, to the heights of our divine nature. To me, it seems that grace is really the opposite of the ego. Our ego wants to control, it wants certainty, but grace is not in our control. The Daily Word uses let go, let God many, many times during the year. And letting go requires a trust. It requires knowing that grace is lifting us up. One of my first realizations of grace was as a child, when someone used the phrase when they saw someone that was having a very hard time, physically or emotionally, and they said, "There, but for the grace of God go I." And so just use that. So as a child, I even had an inner thanks, an inner gratitude. There's just an inner knowing that, wow, and again, it's saying, like Helen Keller said, I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. So the grace of gratitude and humility, even in a dire situation. But in many ways, grace is a mystery. You cannot will it to happen. It does not take our effort. You can't earn it. You can't control it. And guess what? You don't even have to deserve it. And that's part of the wretched. That's part of the, you don't even, it's just whatever happen. We know when shit happens, but do we know when grace happens? Or do we acknowledge it? One of my favorite authors is Annie Lamott, and she says, I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where they found us, where it found us, or they found us, or God found us, or whoever was finding us. Alan Watts teaches, who you know, one of my favorite teachers, how do you receive the grace of God? By using the selfish human will or the ego when it is searching and striving for it. How do you find it? Does anybody know? You can't. You can't find it that way. You can only be open to it. You can only be receptive to it, not expecting it. Yet after the fact, Alan Watts says you may be saved by it. Many of us have experienced that saving. But here are some of the hints for our ego and for our Western mind that are helping our receptivity. To use prayer and meditation, they're helpful to center and allow grace to come in. They just allow grace. It may create a space for grace, but many spiritual advisors warn against forcing grace, but allowing grace. Usually after the fact, we recognize that grace worked. To surrender, to trust there is divine support. Some call it the ground of being that ultimately does support us. To let go, let God puts us in the flow of that upward pull of the universe towards our divine nature, a willingness to be open and even vulnerable. To give without any expectation of return, like the saying, pay it forward. Well, I would suggest pay it upward. Unselfish, unconditional acts may open the door to grace. And we should recognize that when we get those too. When we get it, that's Amazing grace. To demonstrate patience, humility, and forgiveness, even in situations that may provoke anger, frustration. Even small acts of kindness, like opening a door for someone, paying the change of someone who is a little short in front of us at the store, do a small favor for a friend. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches that just smiling puts us in the touch with the present moment, perhaps with grace. All the definitions, even with the small g or capital G, emphasize letting go, fluidity, ease, gratitude, favor, compassion, unselfishness, surrender, forgiveness, protection, and of course, knowing that it is amazing. But does that mean that grace will happen? Even if you use all that, does that mean it'll happen? No. So what is grace? Is it a personal experience into the mystery of the divine? I invite you to find and nurture your particular cultivation and awareness of grace. When you experience grace, a simple inner thanks and inner gratitude can be nurturing, knowing that it is encouraging and affirming for you in your own way. Even when dark forces seem to be pushing us down, there is a force out there, here and now, pulling us upward, offering us a glimpse of our divine nature. So unity principle number 1, God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. I would argue that grace is a reminder to let God be God in us. Let me repeat. Let God be God in us. Let it be good and ever present everywhere. Or as Swami Vivekananda, the famous Hindu monk, who was really almost the first Eastern teacher to come to the U.S. in the late 1800s, he said, he brought yoga, he brought Vedanta. He said, and this is, Brian told me this, God's grace is always blowing, but you first must raise the sail. Thank you for the grace of your attention.